Coral Club International presents The third millennium has already come. What is it bringing to the humankind? New technologies, the way to the outer space, the life in the universe, or ecological catastrophe? According to the data of the International Health Protection Organization, every year there are more than 450 million cubic meters of industrial and domestic wastes that are dumped into water. That's why in water there are more than 13,000 cubic meters of toxic elements. Every 8 seconds, because of diseases caused by dirty water, a child dies. There is the way out. Technology improving the quality of water, or a lot of pills to treat the consequences of environmental pollution. What shall we choose? The attempt to preserve health, working ability, making life and youth longer, or a great amount of pharmaceutic aids? Each of those cause by-effects and complications. Prevention of early aging or wheelchairs as an admittance of our helplessness in front of ecological catastrophe. Coral Club International offers to see the most progressive scientific discoveries in the sphere of human's health and environment preservation. The conversation is led by the doctor of highest degree on cardiology and functional diagnosis, who is to be a teacher of clinical therapy, of clinical pharmacology in Odessa State Medicine University. The non-traditional methods of diagnosis and treatment, Marina Fedorenko. Each of us dreams to be young and beautiful for many years, don't you? When at the age of 40 we begin to notice the first gray hair, it's time we think. And then we think joints, high blood pressure, chronic weakness. Some people suddenly have sugar diabetes. And finally, fading, weakness, aging, tiring of memory. Let's imagine this final. Change joints, ill backbone, hypertension, swelling, short breath, weak of mind. The script that is as if waiting for us. As if we have a program from childhood. We get born in the families and get used to the fact that at the age of 70, the person is a problem for the family, who needs care, has no strength, and actually we accustom ourselves informationally that the average length of life is 70 years. And we are ready that aging begins after 40 years old, gradually after 55. The aging gets faster, and by 70 we expect for the result. But is it true? Tell me please, who of you has read books by Paul Bragg or heard of the miracle of hunger, water treatment, water? Raise your hands if you know who is Paul Bragg and heard his story. Wonderful. I think people of our country are well read and know about Paul Bragg very well. The story of this man is amazing. He shared his knowledge with the whole humankind. He told people that you can live a long, active life, and there is no aging, but active, long life. This is what expects you if you treat your organism well. And he proved it by his own life. He died by accident at the age of 96, surfing in Hawaii. The question is, who of you is ready and eager to live till 120 years old? Are you shy? Not sure? Why? The answer is simple. At the age of 70, 80, we will have no energy to live and enjoy the life. It happens so that it's possible. Do you want to know how? How to live till the age of 100 or 120 years and have no diseases of aging, fragile bones, weak joints, sugar diabetes, weak mind. Is it interesting? Then I offer you to find out what our company has been telling about for 5 years in this country and the secret that people of the world have known. Some of them are finding it out for about 25 years. In 1979, in the Guinness Book, there was published an article about the long-living people of the earth. And the longest living person at that moment was called Ishige Izume, from the island Tokunoshima near Okinawa. The journalist who came to interview him noticed that he had lived for more than 120 years. He worked till 105 years old, and when they came to interview him, he was an absolutely adequate person. He made jokes, spoke normally, and was very lively. The journalists were greatly surprised that he wasn't the only person, that the average length of life on the island was 95-100 years. Though nearby in Japan, it was 75 years. By the way, let's talk about us. In the Ukraine, the average length of life is 62 for women, 56 for men. If you are 55, it doesn't mean you have to prepare to go. It's just statistics. But consider how much is the difference between 56 and 100. 44 years of ungiven love, undone deeds, not to share knowledge, not to feel the beauty of the world. What's the secret? Why do people on these islands live so long, preserving health? And in Japan, with the same food, culture and traditions, it's quite different. The secret turned out to be very simple. The only thing that differs the people from those islands and in Japan is the water they drink. The fact is, Tokunoshima and some other islands are atolls. The corals have been known for the humankind as a very good filter and absorbents. They accumulate and neutralize toxic elements and substances. And this has been known in this country from the Soviet Union times, because the submarines in the fleet ships' coral filters were used for drinking water. But among 2,500 corals, only Sangha corals have those unique qualities, that they are so close to us, according to the chemical analysis. The quantity of macro and micro elements, they are almost identical to the human bones. And it turned out that corals can amazingly change water. Then not only journalists but also scientists realized there was a number of research, and they started to produce Sangha corals for purifying drinking water, for improving the quality of water. And then there happened an amazing story. In Sweden, there lived a man. He's still been living there. His name is Rolf Eriksson. He was born in the family of bricklayers. At the age of 13, when his father got badly ill, he had to start working. At the age of 19, he had his first company. At 30, he had his first million. This man built half of Göteborg city. He built the Swedish embassy in Japan, France, England, Soviet Union, embassy in Sweden, and a huge factory in Novosibirsk city. At 55, he became a ruin. Insomnia, headaches, high blood pressure, indigestion problems, nervousness, weakness. The doctors who examined him recommended him to change his job, stop the hard work, or he will not be the head of the company. And he had to take a huge list of medicine, otherwise they couldn't be held responsible for the results. His son was married to a Japanese woman. When he learned about his father's illness, he came. Rolf was here in Odessa city and told that he had believed his son to be out of his mind. He spent 15 hours flying from Tokyo city to Sweden. Then he returned home and came back again with a small pack. He gave it to his father, saying that it could be better for the quality of the water. He should drink the water and would be healthy. Rolf was taken aback and showed his son the list of medicine prescribed to him and wouldn't believe that he should drink that weird sand and get well. His son told him to drink the water and left for home. He did what his son had told, and as a result, during the 3 days he could sleep well. In a while he didn't have any stomach aches. By the end of the month, the indigestion problems had disappeared, and in about a month and a half, he had normal blood pressure. As a serious businessman, he quickly realized that that simple but effective way of having good health could help a lot of people. So he went to Japan, met the authorities of the company Marine Beer, and announced that he wanted to be the exclusive representative of their company and the only person to distribute Sango corals in the whole world. Japanese are very particular about their partners, that's why they agreed to send him home and promised to contact him in a week. Rolf replied he would wait there. He was very welcome in the Swedish embassy, and in 3 days he had a call and they answered affirmatively, agreed to sign the contract. Thus, Rolf Eriksson became the exclusive representative of Marine Beer and the only person in the world who brings the people an amazing product, bringing back the life and the youth. First, I met him 4.5 years ago. He came again a few months ago, and it's amazing. The person gets younger. He still has a lot of energy. He's created a Swedish medical group. A very profound research has been done, and the research showed the following results. The wonderful secret of long life that is kept in this small packet. This is what a pack of Sango corals looks like. There are 6 small 1-gram packets that contain only sand of coral Sango, 1 milligram of silver, and 5 milligram of ascorbic acid, so-called vitamin C. I'll show you. We open it, take a pack, and put it in 1.5 liter of water. Close the lid airtight. The pack should be folded and packed hermetically too. What do Sango do with water first? The water is purified. It's a powerful absorbent. We add it to water, and in 10 seconds, all chlorine-containing molecules are neutralized. Thus, there is no more chlorine in the water. And now tell me, please, do you agree? Is the running water we get at home clean, healthy, and pure? No? Terrible. Then tell me, please, do you think that the quality of water influences humans' health? Absolutely. Do you agree with what Louis Pasteur said? We drink 80% of our diseases. Do you agree? Moreover, according to the latest statistics, 80% of human diseases have to do with the use of bad quality water. Do you agree? Besides, I can tell you a story that happened in Odessa 6 years ago. The people from Odessa city are active, and they sent some water for analysis to Düsseldorf city. There was a long list of the analysis, and the water was not good for swimming. Has the water changed lately? especially after a few dumpings. 3 years ago, there were some enthusiastic people who sent the water to the United States, got a long list of chemicals of the water, and the conclusion: not recommended for laundry, not good for watering gardens. The simplest result came from Israel. Technically, not good water. And in the end, it got accepted today. And there was news on TV and the radio that the running water we have at homes is technical water, not drinking. Every time I travel to the countries of ex-Soviet Union and talk to people, and every time they tell me about their water characteristics. In Nikolaev city, water contains a lot of oil products. In Ufa city, phenol dumping. In Kiev city, the water is of such a bad quality that the water is taken not from the Dnieper River, but from the Desna River. Especially if we consider that we had radioactive pollution after Chernobyl catastrophe. In Moscow city, people also know that the water is very bad and try to somehow protect themselves. 53 water streams in Moscow city and Moscow region were checked, and I talked to the chairman of water treatment in Moscow city and Moscow region, who said that only 3 of them are rather good for use, and only in winter, because in summer, when dumpings are overwhelming, it's not drinkable. According to the data of Water Ecology Erisman Institute, first of all, our water contains chlorine with all its consequences, because chlorine in water on one side stops the infection, and on the other side it is very bad for human health. From 1904, people started putting chlorine into water. As a result, the increase of heart diseases, oncological diseases, weak mind. Besides, water contains artificial fertilizers, oil products, heavy metal oxidants, and other harmful additions. They all get into us. So what source of life can we talk about? You must protect yourself somehow. Let's begin. Who drinks water straight from the taps? And at the beginning of the previous century, doctors recommended to start the morning with a cup of fresh water in order to have good indigestion. Today nobody can afford it. Do you remember there was a belief that a child born into water develops better mentally and physically, and the immune system is better? 4 years ago, I was at a conference where a doctor stood up and told that was a very good method, but he wanted to see the water where you could put a pregnant woman to give birth to a child without any threat. Thus we face a very serious problem. And how do we protect ourselves? Tell me, please, how do you protect yourselves from polluted water? You left Odessa city. That's a very good way. And it's even to go to an uninhabited island, preferably atoll, or mountainous place with wonderful water. What else? Filters? Any other ideas? Boiling the water. Stone, silver. That's wonderful. That's very clever. Clay. And who buys water in bottles? Everyone. Now let me tell you a little what's going on. The easiest way, boiling water. What does it do? Disinfection. We fight infection. What happens next? Unfortunately, most macro and micro elements subside as salts, which is a more active poison for us. Thus, on the one hand, we disinfect it, and on the other hand, the chemical structure is changed, and it is called dead water. Another way is the water in bottles. I spoke to some chairman of Consumer Defense Committee, and what they said is the same with the world statistics. Only about 15% of the bottled water is partially purified. The rest of it comes from the taps. Unfortunately, it's true, and we waste our money. Today, most people know about filters and buy them. Unfortunately, they all have their disadvantages. Though there are charcoal diaphragm filters, and they are really good for purifying, but if you have no identificator when to change the cartridge, then the filter accumulates the dirt enough and then it can break through, and one day you drink a cup of water and get poisoned. I don't say you will die right away, but it will result in feeling bad, which means that the filter is overfilled. Besides, the water coming through the filter preserves the information of what was there in the filter. For example, we cooperate with the doctor in Kyiv City in Volkhovsky Hospital, Tatiana Timofeyeva. She works as a hydrotherapist. But to wash the bowls, you also need pure water. They use American equipment with an American filter, which is supposed to be changed in 6 months. In a month, this filter wouldn't work. They had to change its cartridge. So what is happening? When we get recommendation to change the cartridge every 4 or 6 months, every year, they mean the drinkable water. But actually, the reality is so different from the theory that we have to change the cartridge in a week or 2 or in a month. What our company is telling about is a quite different approach, though it doesn't exclude filtering water, buying purified water. But you have a chance quite differently to get good quality water. First, 1 small packet for 1.5 liters water, hermetically closed. What happens? It neutralizes chlorine, harmful metal oxidants in 10 minutes. They get to the bottom, and the water gets harmless. This is the first thing what Sango coral does in water. Second, the water we drink is rather acidic, and people's liquids are alkaline. Blood, lymph, mouth water, inside and outside the cell. We need acids only in the stomach to digest proteins and in some parts of bowels. And the acids on the skin mean that we get rid of them through the skin, breathe out carbon dioxide and get rid of the acids. The organism works so that to balance itself and supports you. This is called homeostasis. The first indicator is pH balance, and it's pH negative, alkaline. You are full of energy, healthy, and live longer. If it's pH positive, then suddenly you have stones in kidneys, in the stomach, joints problems, blood vessel damages, in result, diseases making you invalid. Let's check how knowledgeable you are in this sphere. Who drinks Coke, Fanta, 7-Up, acidic and carbon dioxide drinks? You can be honest with me. From time to time. And there is another question. Whose children like Coke? Everyone's. So, we don't drink it, but all children like it. What's going on? Coke is one of the most poisonous drinks, which doesn't kill us in a minute, but step by step shifts the balance to pH positive. I was at the lecture by Darrell Wolfe in Canada, who said that there are two companies that kill the world, McDonald's and Coca-Cola. The shift to pH positive balance takes your health. We cannot get rid of poisons, and the organism has a reaction to the intoxication. What do we do when poisons get accumulated? Lipomas appear. The fourth level of organism pollution is growth of cancer cells, growths. The fifth level is cancer. If we cannot detoxicate in time, we are bound to suffer. And not at the age of 90, but much earlier. Sanger corals turn the water from pH positive to negative, and we get a chance. Imagine that our organism is a swimming pool with small fish swimming in it. Millions of fish are our cells, the cells of brain, liver, heart, kidney, muscles, and bones. They are all in liquid. The organism's circulation is that the substances get into the cells, the wastes get out of the cells. Where does this all happen? In liquid, of course, in water. And the quality of water influences how much nourishment the cell will get and how fast it will get rid of the poisons. Sanger corals turn the water into pH negative, and it means that our swimming pool environment is good for the fish, and they can grow, develop, and bring healthy generation. But if we shift to pH positive, the cells get dry, old, and bring ill generation, which is uncontrollable growth of oncological diseases. Thus, Sanger corals turn the water into pH negative. One more very important fact what Sanger coral does to water. Of 190 signals to pure drinking water suggested by the World Health Organization is oxidant reproductive potential. It's the difference between neutral and active platinum electrodes. This appliance is made by a German company, Hanna, and is used to measure the potential of water in swimming pools, aquariums, to identify the quality of water. If the water is more than 60 above zero, it means it's no good for drinking. Let's check our water. I put it inside, and it increasingly goes up like a thermometer, and it stops showing the potential. How much is it? 440 here. Please pause it, check it. And it's still going up. Remember, it mustn't be more than 60. Let's remember, we all read fairy tales about vital and dead water. This one is dead. For the last 20 years, the scientists of different countries have been trying to reproduce vital and dead water and using electrolysis get electricity through containers with water. On one side they have it positive, on the other side negative. The positively charged is so poisonous that if you apply it to a wound, there will be no infection. The negatively charged water is vital. It is good for drinking. Some people who drank it were very satisfied with the result. How much is it now? 506. How many times it's worse? 8.5 times. it's 9 times worse than it should be. One of those people who exploited and tried to create vital and dead water works in our Odessa University, and he said once, "Oh Lord, I was trying to invent what exists in nature. What does the charge in water tell us? Negatively charged water gives us energy. It's a powerful detoxicator. It neutralizes toxic elements, poisons, helps their getting out of the body, protects us from free radicals. Once you go out, you get poisoned by lead. For example, in Bangkok, I was greatly surprised to see policemen wearing masks, respirators, because it's very hot and the traffic is heavy and gases poisoning the people in the street. And drinking polluted water, we get poisoned too. And the free radicals, instead of getting balanced in the organism, take energy from our cells, which get ill and give birth to other ill cells. The free radicals are different substances: synthetic makeup, lipstick, it's washing soap. It's for reason that after washing a bathroom, the skin on the hands peel off and we can't make it good. This is all the damage of free radicals. Synthetic food, everything that is sold in plastic, looks so nice. But do animals eat it? They don't eat sausages. And we do. Animals instinctively understand that it's poisonous. Medicine is one of the most powerful sources of free radicals, the dirt that we have in us. And if we don't get it out of our bodies, it's also a dirt of free radicals, infection. Electrical appliances. Do you have a TV at home? 2 in every room, and 1 in the kitchen on the fridge. That's wonderful. Well, and what should be the distance between a person and TV? 6 meters. And who has an apartment that allows you to sit 6 meters away from TV? Well, minimum 3 meters. Do you remember the radioactive dump after Chernobyl radioactive catastrophe? The radioactive norm on the milk was cancelled and put many times more. Now it is the norm. But our organism has nothing to do with the given norms. It reacts to the disbalance of ecology. And now let's talk about your future. The computers have been appearing in every house. What's the distance we sit away from the screen? 40, 50 centimeters. But they are the same screens and sources of rays. But the promises that these screens are not harmful, unfortunately, are unreal today. And on top of that, stress. Stress is a protective organism reaction. Nature created us very wisely. A stressed animal either attacks you or escapes, putting stress into muscles. Adrenaline gets into heart and it beats fast. The stomach has spasm. No time to eat. It's time to run away. They breathe very fast, and we are ready either to attack or defend. And what do we feel when we turn on TV? When we are short of money? When we face aggression all around? It's all stressful, and instead of attacking or running away, we try to continue human relations, reserve our feelings, but the adrenaline inside us disbalances pH factor negatively and destroys us. These are also free radicals. And the stress, which is supposed to save us, turns into threat for our lives and health. I think it's not a secret that a lot of people after stresses, after relatives' death, after a drama, suddenly have skin problems, sugar diabetes. It's all the reaction to the excess of adrenaline and free radicals. The oxidant reproductive potential monitors the amount of free radicals here. If there is any antioxidant activity. If the result was 5 or 7, let me show you what happens if we add Sango coral into the water. Usually we drink 1.5 liters of water during a day. But if we have a bad stress, allergy, poisoning, we do like this. Open the pack, put it into water. What happens? How much is it? 12, 70 below zero. Please pause it. Instantly, it becomes below zero. I do this in every country, and there is hardly a place with good quality drinking water. In Europe, North America, everywhere. But the flower nectar is negatively charged liquid. And there are few natural sources in the world. One in Romania, one in France. Water in mountains is negatively charged. And this condition isn't stable. That's why you should close it hermetically. And this way we get harmless water. If we put a pack into a glass, it's a powerful detoxicator. Once you get poisoned by food, a glass of water with coral calcium will overcome it. Why do we have temperature? It's protective reaction of the organism, and there are a lot of toxins in the organism. High blood pressure crisis, allergy, then a pack of coral sand will help you to get the balance. Alcohol intoxication. After a New Year party, you wake up, you should drink a glass of this water and meet people fresh and sound again. I often tell you where you can add coral calcium into any liquid, and we add it into fresh water. We get maximum effective water. You can add it into boiled water, but you needn't boil it. Add it into juice, wine, vodka, or whiskey. You see? It's a powerful absorbent. Where shouldn't we add Sango corals? Pop, champagne, sparkling mineral water, salty and sugary drinks. They are acidic and it's a waste of coral calcium. You can add it into anything else. And if you drink a glass of water with a pack of Sango coral, you will get help in critical situation. And if you are healthy, you feel good, there is a chronic weakness syndrome. It's the reaction of our organism to lack of water, to acids, free radicals. You drink it and feel the energy. You can go on listening and doing active exercises, lead an active life. But it's not only pH-balanced water. We have a big problem in our country. Not everything is fine with food. In any supermarket you can find anything. But what is the quality of these products? Americans have a lot of appearance troubles because of food. There are a lot of people with too much weight, and they call themselves a nation of hungry big eaters. On the one hand, there are a lot of calories, but there are few vitamins, micro and macro elements. Why is that? The chemistry in food is like our fertilizer. They put 4 kinds of it, but the micro and macro elements are getting lost. And where should we take them? Wolfram, molybdenum. Have you ever thought that lately articles have been appearing that young people, sportsmen, die during training or performance or after it? What happens? A lot of physical training, a lot of liquid comes out with sweat, and with sweat a lot of micro and macro elements come out too, and there is no source of them. As a result, the person gets ill and even die. One of the most important macro elements is calcium. After oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, and it has lots of functions in our organism. In the bones, skeleton, joints, hair, nails, horns, virtually. You know, there is a funny joke about horns. In Russia, they say that a man whose wife is unfaithful gets horns. And a man came to a doctor saying that he needs to be examined because his wife is unfaithful and his horns don't grow. The doctor smiled and said it was a joke. The man sighed with relief and as he had believed he didn't have enough calcium in organism. Also, calcium does a lot of our organisms. Sticks together the cells, muscle work, heart muscle, blood coagulation, nervous impulses, transportation. And it's in constant work. Calcium takes part in all circulations and circulation systems. And for this, only 1% of calcium is used. The rest of it is in the bones. And unfortunately, at the age of 45, 50% of Americans suffer from calcium deficiencies. And at the age of 60, 90% of Americans suffer from this. And what is calcium deficiencies? It's bones getting fragile. For example, my friend just sprained her ankle and got a crack in it, a crack in the bone. Some people just turn around and the bones are so fragile. It's the beginning of a disease, and then comes a tragedy in the family, you see? A tragedy because a person gets a bone broken and it's almost incurable. No movements and other different complications. Lack of calcium has a lot of consequences. For example, we had a wonderful lecture a while ago in Odessa Medicine University by Natalia Linzeva. The consequences are not only fragile bones, it's also high blood pressure, vascular changes, nails and hair changes, and many others. But the paradox is, you come to a doctor and you are rather young and have a salt sedimentation. The doctor concludes that you have excess of calcium. You shouldn't eat this and that, but check the blood and there is too much calcium again. Too bad. You shouldn't eat. But what is really going on? Mostly we get calcium with food, and it's split into different elements in the stomach. But at the age of 60, most people have stomach problems, and only 25% of it is active, and it's not effective. And we eat, but calcium is not assimilated, and it cannot get to the cells. That's why we have deficits of calcium. As a result, the organism gives a signal that there isn't enough calcium and you have to do something. And we get different excrescences. Or the organism tries to keep calcium and it is stopped in the kidneys, in the gallbladder, and we have stones in them. Thus, it's not excess of calcium, but deficitus. Dr. Barefoot, in his work, wrote, "Calcium, a secret of youth and longer life," made a research in different parts of the world and proved that in the places where water is rich in calcium, people live longer. And what we can get here is not just calcium, but the form of calcium, which is an important element to balance our pH and regulate our normal circulation. And also, it is rich in magnesium that helps the nervous system, hormone system, sex hormones work, active muscle work, and the percentage of macro and micro elements. For example, if we don't have enough zinc, it's the problem of growth, weak immune system, or often sore throats, colds, flu, bronchitis, etc. Later, with age, especially women, lose their interests. And the husbands wonder what's going on. And if we don't have enough iron, it results in anemia. And a lot of people, first of all women, have it. If we suffer deficits of chromium, it's hormones problems, and people have sugar diabetes. Deficit is in selenium, and we lose our vitality. For example, in Sweden, there was a propaganda in mass media, TV, radio, news, papers, that there wasn't enough selenium in the food and drinks, and people should add it to live long and effectively. The macro and micro elements are powerful accidents, and the length of life in Sweden has got 15 years longer. I could tell you about all the elements in the Mendeleev table. What is important? There are all necessary elements in necessary proportion here. Too much is as bad as too little. Harmony and proportion. This is the particular feature of Sangha corals. And one more amazing quality. Have you ever asked for help? Homeopathist. What do? They give you some liquid with no active substance and just a few drops, 2 times a day, and you feel better. There are no plants or minerals in it. But what's there? Information, as water is a powerful accumulator of information. It has memory and certain structure. There are 8 kinds of water according to their structure. It remembers. You let the water flow from the tap, and it remembers what animals were in this water, what it was polluted with, and what was accumulated in your filters. And we get the memory of all poisons, pollution, and dead structures in this water. The Sangha corals change the memory, brings back the information about vital ocean sea. How does it happen according to biology and physics? It was explained by a scientist, professor of the Ukraine Science Academy, in his work about vital image of pure water. He said it was hard to imagine what treasure we had brought, because even if you add a little of coral water, it influences the structure of the water. And we have a chance to give our organism vital, pure, alkaline, mineralized water with the memory of life and health. This is Sangha coral. So how do we use it? First, close it hermetically and drink it during the day. Have a little water and who of you will drink 1.5 liters water? Not coffee or tea, but water. I see you have been to our lectures. Mostly, people believe that liquids, tea, coffee, juice, and soup are all liquids. But we don't wash our face or clothes in soup, or we don't wash the floor with juice. We use water to dissolve dirt in it. And in our organisms, we need to dissolve wastes, and we need about 1.5–2 liters of fresh, vital alkaline water per day. And this is the foundation of youth prolonging. And gradually, we get dry nails, dry skin, dry hair. A child in the mother consists of 90% of water, and an aged person of 60% water. Our life is the story of getting dry, and we don't drink enough, and we drink hard water from taps, and coral calcium turns it into good water, and the nutritious element get to the cells better, and the wastes leave the organism faster. Thus 3 ways how to use this water. First, 1.5 liters per day. And it's not treatment, but nourishment. Vital water to support normal inner state. Second, a pack in a glass of water if you have an acute crisis, infection, poison, allergy, crisis of a chronic disease, and it will change the balance and help you get rid of the poison. It may be not enough. We have different conditions, but it will be a wonderful first step. And third, who is interested in gallstones, kidney stones, salt sedimentations? It happens rather often, and it troubles people more often nowadays. And it's all is the consequence of disbalance in circulation. Once you have a gallstone, you get directed to a surgeon, and the surgeon prescribes you an operation. And what do? We, adult people, what do? Do we treat the reason or consequence? The consequence, of course. And the reason, the circulation problem remains, and we will have stones in other places. And it has been proved by clinical researchers. And we got rid of the consequences, and then sometimes it's necessary, of course, to survive. But our task is to influence the reason. And if you want to support your health, you should support alkaline in the state and drink it constantly during the day. And we observed a lot of cases that the stones get distracted and get out. They melt away and come out of your organism. And for the last 4 years, I met a lot of people who had stones and they disappeared. What do people get drinking such water? First, getting poisons out, losing swellings. You know, when I started drinking coral water, my mother told me that she didn't know what was happening, but my face turned into a human's face. It meant at a certain age, the water doesn't get out of the organism properly because of circulation disbalance. And suddenly there is no more puffiness under the eyes, though it wasn't too much under my eyes. Second, headaches disappear, you can sleep well, your muscles get more active. Of course, not in 1 or 3 days, but in a while. It may be 2 or 3 months. And once a lady came to me saying how wonderful it was to brush her own hair. And she wasn't able to raise her hands. Then she starts taking off her clothes. I was shocked, and she just wanted to show that she had 2 lipomas, and they had disappeared. It was just because the poisons were taken out, our organism can reconstruct itself then. Unfortunately, people often come to doctors too late, and we aim to teach people not to get in such situation, instead treating it. There is an old-fashioned way to create a problem, and then actively, as heroes, fight it. And it takes much effort, time, money and nerves and other things, but there is a simple, reasonable way to bring up children with the idea of certain hygiene rules and the norms of life. And we should install the rules and the norms to a little child's brain and start with the words that the child will live till the age of 120 years. Give them vital, pure water, and lots of problems even won't appear. I know only one thing. Some people who never complained on their health are rather young and started drinking the water, and they noticed to have more energy and working ability. Do you know what is chronic weakness syndrome? You wake up in the morning, work half a day, and feel like having a rest. Have you felt this? And you are young people. You know, once my mother said that she couldn't understand that at the age of 30 I had a headache. And she had no idea at that age what was to be ill. What's going on? The ecology has been changing every year to the worse, and we can't stop the plants working. We can protect our organism inside. First of all, give it vital alkaline antioxidant water. And it's often enough to prevent different conditions. This often helps to overcome the difficult conditions. It is the secret of long life, and it's first and the most important part. We can't talk about health without vital of good quality water. And now I raise this glass to my health and the health of all of you, so that you make up your mind to do the most important thing in your life until this conversation, to get responsible for your health and your long life, and not to wait to be doctored, but prevent and preserve the treasure you have, your organism, and keep it as long as possible, healthy and beautiful. Be healthy. That's amazing, wonderful water that has changed both my inner state and my life. The water that gave a chance to change, to get rid of such problems as the function of my stomach and bowels, headaches, chronic weakness syndrome, blood pressure, because I had low pressure, joints aches, they have all gone. I've become very active, communicative, and I believe this is the product that everybody needs. There were many good words said about coral calcium, and I have an amazing case in my family. My mother is 88. She had a bone broken, and it was a hard case. After an X-ray check, we were told it was very complicated, but we should believe it would be all right. I started giving her coral calcium, and soon she had another X-ray check, and she was allowed to walk again. Now she can walk and rather active. Vital water for everyone.